Welcome to the program. I am Amarachi Ubani. This week, Diplomatic Channel brings in a rare guest who has seen Nigeria's political development before independence, during independence and after. And quite sincerely, he was not overly excited when a new administration took over on May 29th this year. I'm talking about Chief Richard Akinjide, a senior advocate of Nigeria, a former Attorney General of the Federation, and a former Minister of Justice. He was also Minister of Justice for the Gambia, Uganda, Lesotho, and Botswana, to name a few of his achievements. He is still a practicing lawyer till date. Just before President Muhammadu Buhari took the oath of office, along with the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, Chief Akinjide shared his thoughts on the historical moment for Nigeria. Also on the program, how could we ever forget the horrific tales of death at sea for scores of people trying to get into Europe, escaping conflict and violence in their home countries. Europe has been under a lot of pressure this past week as thousands more have berthed at their ports, hoping to settle in countries and begin life again. More Africans are taking that trip, especially from Libya, which is yet to become politically stable since Muammar Gaddafi's death in 2011. More are also coming from sub-Saharan Africa like Nigeria, Cameroon, flee from Boko Haram's insurgents in the northeast. While the United Nations is urging Europe to do more to help the migrants, some European countries, such as Hungary, are saying they do not have the capacity to take them in and is instead working on measures to discourage the influx. It is indeed a sad situation, especially when you're looking at pictures like this. The only way it seems we can stop these deaths is by stopping the violence and the conflicts that cause people to flee without food and water and get onto small boats exposed to the elements, all in an effort to find a safe place to be rooted and make a living and a life. Welcome back. Europe has been facing what has come to be known as its worst humanitarian crisis since World War II. According to the United Nations, over 700,000 migrants have crossed into the continent seeking asylum and refuge for conflict and violence. So far, Germany has indicated it is willing to take in more migrants this year, but other countries do not have the same commitment. Leaders met in Luxembourg on Friday to discuss the migrant crisis, seeking a broader response to the influx. The growing migrant crisis has been of great concern to European countries eager to stem the influx but still trying to figure out how to respond. At a meeting of EU foreign ministers in Luxembourg, leaders expected to discuss searching and diverting smuggler vessels. While Europe has been shocked by images of a drowned migrant boy on the Turkish coast and migrants forced from a train in Hungary, it remains divided over how to deal with the refugees from wars in the Middle East. Italy, France and Germany were expected to push for a European system to repatriate more migrants who fail to qualify for asylum and to improve external border controls. In a letter to the EU Foreign Policy Chief, Federica Mogherini, the three governments called for new rules to end a patchwork of national policies that have sowed division among member states. In a letter, the three governments also urged the EU to agree to list countries considered safe and whose citizens have fewer rights to claim asylum. They believe this would help speed up repatriation and create more time and resources to deal with legitimate asylum applications. Thirdly, they're proposing the creation of an integrated border management system which could help identify, fingerprint and register migrants seeking asylum. Germany has opened its borders to thousands coming from Hungary, overwhelmed by the sheer numbers reaching Europe's frontiers. The decision to open its borders, especially to Syrians, was an exceptional case made out of humanitarian reasons. Officials said that so far at least 2,000 people have arrived at the Munich train station, while more trains are expected in the coming days. Authorities say they're expecting as many as 10,000 migrants in Munich, coming via special trains from the Hungarian capital Budapest. Hungary, which has been trying to stem the influx, on Saturday went ahead to deploy over 100 buses to take thousands of migrants to the Australian border, where they boarded trains bound for Germany. The country's foreign minister, Peter Siriato, said the transport of migrants from Hungary to the Australian border highlights the failure of the European Union's migration policy.
Well, what has been happening in Hungary since last night is a consequence of two things. First, a failed migration policy of the European Union, and the second one is the series of some irresponsible statements made by European politicians. So what has been happening in Hungary since last night is a consequence of these two things.
Hungary says it has recorded some 165,000 people entering Europe so far this year, speculating that countless others may have crossed its borders without registering. The flow of migrants risking rickety boats across the Mediterranean or baton-wielding police on Balkan borders shows no signs of abating, despite more trips by sea ending in disaster. When we come back after the break, we'll see how Africans have made the list of those seeking refuge in Europe.